Ekurhuleni, Thabo Mahlwele, who is affectionately known by his fans as Touchline, started recording his own music at the age of 17. The Tembisa-born star chose music as a career path over soccer after discovering his true calling. He has gone on to make a name for himself in the local music scene through his performances. His music is emotional and is a form of storytelling which captivates his listeners. But to tell us more, he joins us now in studio. Thabo, or should I rather say Touch. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, let's start with your journey. So you were first into soccer and football and you decided to take a different direction. Tell us about that.
First, I branched out into dancing. Then later on moved on to music. I've always been very, very charismatic growing up. And I've always wanted to try new things. So I was a sportsman growing up, always been an entertainer. So I just thought, let me do this music thing. So
the music landscape in South Africa is very diverse at the moment. Yep. What would you say sets you apart from other musicians?
Just the fact that I'm not scared to tell it the way I see it. I think my writing is very real, and there's a big market for that because, you know, everybody's just happy with just doing the party stuff. And I want to tackle issues that actually affect us as South Africans. So I think that's where my lane is.
One of the big genres in South Africa is undoubtedly hip-hop. You also have house competing pretty much at the same level. How would you describe your sound? Which genre do you most likely fall under?
Most likely hip-hop, but mainly because, you know, of rap and rhythm and poetry, and I'm a spoken word artist. So, but I always tell people that I'm not loyal to hip-hop, you know, as long as I can be able to express myself on any sort of instrumental or any sort of production, it really doesn't matter. Music is a universal language and you just choose how you want to speak it.
Something I'm always interested in when I speak to artists is the influences that they have, both locally and internationally. Who influences Touchline?
I remember when I started, it was a guy called Pro Kid. I don't know if you remember him.
I remember him, yeah. Bumper.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What sets him apart for me was the fact that he could easily do in vernac, you know, the whole rap thing, and how he related to Massegas. And I thought, you know what, that's really what I would like to do. Ukulele, ebantwini Massegas. So Pro Kid was one of my biggest influences growing up.
And internationally?
Internationally, I look up to the likes of J. Cole, the likes of Drake, people that I consider really good storytellers. Growing up also, it was Eminem. So just good writers. I'm just really into good writers.
That's brilliant. You're working on your mixtape now. There's always, I think artists are now getting into the thing, especially hip-hop artists, of first, you know, releasing singles and then going into mixtapes and then maybe later on full-length albums.
Yes.
What's the thinking behind that?
I think, especially when you're trying to break out as an artist, it's very important for people to hear what you're about first before you can get yourself in a platform where you can release an album, or, you know, because ideally you'd want your album to do well. So the thinking, everything else is promotional, and the album is just seals the deal, you know. So singles, mixtapes, EPs, you know, all those things are just there to help you get to the big goal, and that's your body of work.
And I'm actually glad you mentioned that the intention for any artist is for their album to do well. Right. Take me through we're running out of time, but just your sentiments around the business of music. Do you think artists know what they're doing at this point in time?
Artists, right now they're taking things into their own hands. I think we're more learned in terms of like the music business and what is expected of us in terms of making money. And yeah, I feel like there is a little change in thinking, especially from an artist's perspective.
So where can South Africans find Touchline? With social media, where are you performing next?
Definitely at Touchline Truth. That's like on Twitter, and on Instagram at Touchline_Truth. That's where people will mainly see what I'm doing. Everything is there, the gig guide, you know. People can just check me out on social media.
I'm a little biased because you have dimples, but I'm also excited. Yeah, I'm excited to see you perform a little bit later on in the show. Thank you so much for the chat.
Thank you so much.
That was Touchline talking to us about his music as well as his upcoming project. He'll definitely be on the morning live stage a little bit later on in the show. Let's now take a break.
She reminds you special and you are destined for more. A back room with no bathroom, it don't matter, it's home. So you grow and get get a loan for university. You get your diploma, they call it graduate.
A message from the Association for Alcohol Responsibility and Education, aware.org.
As democracy matures, we get into discussing very, very sensitive issues.
I think that there's a lot of people that are applauding it. I'm sure it's going to be appealed.
It is the beginning of a long journey of South Africa fighting racism.
That sticky label of being a white party, so to speak, doesn't seem to want to go away.
So the competition actually helps, and it brings out winning in total.